Motovlogs. I remember motovlogging, it seems like about, maybe like about 7 years ago. It was really popular. Maybe it was like, I know the popularity maybe up to about 5 years ago, maybe it peaked. And then, motovlogging still exists, but it's not where it once was. I know I kind of always wanted to be a motovlogger ever since the start of seeing that was something you could do. I was like, oh man, it'd be so cool to be a motovlogger. And, you know, on the surface, it's a relatively easy thing. What do you need? You need a motorcycle, you need a helmet, you need a helmet with a GoPro mount, and you need a GoPro. Now, granted, I guess you technically need all the motorcycle gear, but for me, the only specialty thing that I really needed for the motorcycle was a helmet because I already had jackets, I already had gloves, I already had boots, I already had the pants that qualified, so I was good on that. I just needed the helmet with a mount. And then you say, all right, you got a helmet, you got a mount, and then it's like, oh, what do you forget? You forgot a microphone. Or recording, or a way to record audio. Technically, it doesn't have to be a separate recorder. It could be a audio recorder in your pocket, yeah, or with like a lapel mic wired in to the helmet, or it could be, I have seen a couple where they use the front mount GoPro, and I don't know if it was a GoPro specifically, if it was a different brand of action camera, but they have the action camera on the chin mount, and they have a microphone that actually gets tucked up underneath that you speak into where the mouth pocket is with a full face helmet. The other thing that, what that does is that records straight to the camera audio, so then you get, nice audio clips to cut in. The thing with motovlogging too is, you also get a windsock over the microphone, so that way to deal with the vibrations, to help quiet it up a little bit. But one of the things is that I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to start a motovlog, and when you start off with that list, it's very hard to get that list under $1,000. It's hard to get that list under maybe even, depending on who you are, maybe 5,000. If you're to say, oh, I want to buy a newer motorcycle, I want to buy a brand new helmet, I'm going to go with a top of the line helmet, I'm going to go with a name brand action camera, I'm going to go with maybe the name brand mounting system and the microphone to match, and I would like let's see, 1, 2, 3, got the helmet, got that, and maybe like a laptop, and that'd be something where you're like, oh, that's quite a bit. And so then it's like, all right, how can we kind of strip that down and make it a little bit more achievable? And it's like, well, maybe, motorcycles don't have airbags, so maybe I can go with a slightly older motorcycle. All I have to worry about now is reliability, but I can go with like an older, cheaper bike, and then maybe I can, keep a reasonably high quality helmet. So then you start backing it down, and you do that with all your little line items. You say, all right, we take this item. We say, all right, well, this is what I want. This is the bare minimum to get the job done. Do I have that? Can I get that used? Can I get that new? Does it have to be new? You know what I mean? There's a lot of, can I get reconditioned? There's a lot of ways that you can look at trying to save money on them. But for me, one of the things that I thought about is it's just it's like, oh man, that'd be kind of fun to just share your opinions and, drive around on your bike, and, it'd be kind of neat to do. I've never really been able to do a motovlog up until now. And, well, I guess technically now I'm still not doing motovlogging, but I've never been able to get the pieces together, because even if you do get all the equipment for free, you still got to go out there and do it. And that's one of the things that I look at too, because I'm like, how reliable am I on getting things put out there that I can stand behind. And I know for me personally, one of the harder things with the Motovlog is like having something where I'm putting my face on there, or I'm associating it to me personally. It's really hard to accept putting out anything that's less than perfection. And that makes it a little bit harder because now it's like you start scrutinizing and you start really thinking about what you're putting out there. And it's really easy to like talk yourself out of it. And there's many videos that I've made in the past, in like, maybe 5 years ago, where it's like, oh yeah, I made the video, but it's like I just couldn't bring myself to uh present them to the general public because it's like, I just don't know that I could handle the scrutiny of it or the criticism of like, all the mistakes that I make. And it's really easy to get wound down in that. The thing is, though, is like, I don't know, I still kind of like the idea of motovlogging, but I know that as I've gotten onto it a little bit more, I'm still dealing with the concept of practicality where it's like, in my brain, I toy with it every now and then. And it's like, all right, if I knock down that motorcycle requirement to a bicycle requirement, all right, is that pretty good? And then it's like, if I knock that bicycle requirement, well, depending on the situation, down to a walking requirement, and then it's like, all right, well, I could do a chest mount, GoPro, and I could do trail walks or something to allow me to have like a nice B-roll footage for the background. Then maybe we don't worry about the audio. Do no, either record right off the camera or do a audio off your phone. Some phones you can get decent audio off of. I know so far for this channel that I'm uploading this to, I've been uploading, editing, recording, and doing everything just with my phone. I haven't used like a special camera to go out and get photos. I just use the stuff from my camera roll, and I use stuff that I can get off the line, but I haven't used anything besides this camera. I will say, depending on the video, some of the videos sound better than others. And part of that's the microphone, or not the microphone, but just being able to filter out background noise, being able to record into a microphone, or not record into a microphone, but record with my phone in a way that's not real noisy. How am I holding the phone? What am I doing with the phone? And that's something that I have really managed to get better. But the other thing too is one of the things that I've really struggled with up until, well, even now as I record this, I do it, but I've always been real, like when I'm dealing with electronics, I always like speak a little bit funny to make sure that I can get it, I can understand. So I try to enunciate as hard as possible to get my words heard. And so it's hard because I'm so different on the audio from how I normally sound that, you're trying to sit there and edit is like, man, I don't even like how I sound. But I'm like, you know what? I've got to do this so that way when I go back in probably about a year, I want to look back at my stuff. But even now, I go back and I look at some of the videos that I've already made, and I say, all right, I have made improvements. I am getting better. I'm talking more smoothly. I'm not editing out a bunch of stammers as much because it's really easy to get yourself into like a headspace where you start stammering. And that's one of those things where it's like if I do start to do a moto vlog at some point, it'll really help me just talk to myself more when there's not anyone else here and I'm just listening to engine noise. And it'll help me keep on track because it helps like just my brain focus talking where I can kind of build out the pathway and follow a path. I guess the thing is too is like there's so many things when it comes to doing stuff where it's easy to say, what's the top of the line, what's the bottom of the line, what's the bare minimum. It's very basic stuff, like with the cameras and stuff. But there's also a threshold that I think is a little bit more important when you're picking things. It's what will I actually use? Because if you have like well, I don't know how expensive cameras are, but let's say you have like a DSLR versus your cell phone. Which one are you more likely to go out and record with? Some people, might find that when they have the bigger camera with them, it makes them go into like film mode. I know, like for me, I used to camcord a lot of stuff when I was just a family gathering and stuff for like home video use. And with the camcorder, it was like, you know what? When I had the camcorder, I'm recording stuff. When I put the camcorder down, I'm not. And I did this even when I had a smartphone. And so it's like, but my brain doesn't flip into, hey, I should take a video of that with the smartphone. It's like, all right, if I want to take a video, use the camcorder. So some people, it's like, all right, that's the thing that'll help them. And it's like, all right, so the same thing with the motorcycle. It's like, if you're working down that list and you're saying, hey, what am I doing? All right, here's the cheapest option, then here's what I'll actually use, and be a little bit more realistic, because it's really easy to take a look at something and get that number down to a really low number where it's like, all right, if I'm buying all new equipment, I can get this number down to, $100 or something. But it's like, is it so cheap, or is the stuff that you're buying so cheap that you don't even like using it, or you wouldn't use it at all? That's not an excuse to like overspend, but it's just like a thought, because I know that there's been a couple times in my life where I bought something that was cheap, because I know one of the things too is I bought a cheap microphone thinking that it would help me do videos because I could record off my laptop. But the quality was so atrocious, and trying to get it into anything usable was just so much of a hassle that it really made me resent making videos, to the point that I stopped doing it for a while. Because it's like, I was making video, or I used to like editing videos. I didn't really make a lot for with the intention of uploading. It was just kind of like a hobby where it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of fun, editing stuff together. But as technology changes and stuff happens, being able to edit entirely on your phone is now a thing where it's like, oh, you can do that on your phone, but then it's like, are you, just because you can, would you, or would you, prefer going to the library to edit? I don't know. There's just things that I think about. But there are things to think about before you start jumping in with 2 feet. Because some things can like get built out, and it's like, I guess like if you're thinking about it in the grand scheme of things, it's like, what's more likely to stop you from motovlogging? Is it the motorcycle or the camera? And it's a question that I guess the individual person has to answer. Because for some people, the concept of getting a motorcycle, and you have to have a license to get a motorcycle. So it's like, all right, that whole process is something where it's like, oh, that's the intimidating part. Versus for some people, it's like, all right, I have a motorcycle, I have everything. You might even have the camera and the microphone and stuff, but it's like being able to put it together, sit down, do a recording, and then edit it together in something that you feel comfortable putting your name behind and putting it online. I know one of the nice things about like anonymous channels is like it helps remove the hindrance of like feeling like you're tying something to your own name, or it makes you feel more comfortable putting things out, because now it's like, all right, you've got a creative persona that you put creative things out, and that's not like your personal name. It's just like, all right, this is who the public sees me as, and this is who I'll be for the public. Oh no, if that made you think anything, I'm glad it did. If not, sorry. Have fun. Love ya. Bye.